This is Leisha Holmes, and I'm your host on the Recruiters Recruitment Podcast. And I'm really excited to welcome to our global community today our first ever guest from Dubai. Although, technically speaking, he's actually based at home in the UK at the moment. But I'd like to welcome to everybody today Clayton Pullum, who is the co-founder of Satoshi Solutions. So, welcome to today, Clayton. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Very, very pleased to be on board today. Excited to see what we can talk about.
I'm really, really excited. So we are going to be talking about a really interesting topic, actually, because you are a relatively new business in a relatively embryonic sector, which gets me very excited because our global community, a large part of our listeners are people starting out their career in recruitment. So we might have a lot of people listening in your space, but also those who maybe are a little bit fed up, bit stagnant, thinking which market should I be looking at? So let's just hand over to you. Tell us a little bit about Satoshi Solutions and why we're talking here today.
Yeah, 100%. So like you said, I co-founded Satoshi Solutions with my partner who I worked with before at a previous firm. We were building out banks, insurance companies, fintechs, sort of throughout Europe. And we'd always had a really big passion for crypto. You know, every 10 minutes, you know, we were submitting a candidate and then checking our trading accounts on Binance or whatever apps we used to use. And we thought, you know, could we use this skill that we seem to have in recruitment? You know, we feel like we're pretty good at this. We feel like we're able to provide a service. Could we provide this in a sector that, you know, I'm more passionate about? So naturally, what we did was reach out to some contacts that we had within the crypto industry and just straight up ask them, you know, is this actually a service that you guys are looking for? Because we did some market research and there wasn't many companies providing that kind of service in this sector, especially when we set up, which was over a year ago now. So we said, you know, is this something you're looking for? And they were almost on their hands and knees, like, please, you know, recruitment is so needed. We need to move people from traditional industries, whether it's banking, whether it's insurance, whether it's marketing, into crypto. But we also need some help with mobility within the crypto sector, within the Web3 sector as well. Helping people know what jobs are out there, know what they should be earning, and also help employers from their side as well. It was a wild west and still is to a large extent in this industry. So we're here to serve both candidates and also, obviously, our clients.
Why did you choose Dubai? Because I know we've just been talking off camera. Talk to us a little bit about your location.
Sure. So we are based in Dubai, but we're a fully remote company. You know, I want to make that absolutely clear. We have people all over the world. We recruit all over the world for companies and candidates. You know, we have candidates that come from Bolivia, Ukraine, Poland, Australia, the US. So it's completely global. So what better place to do that than the Middle East? You know, the perhaps former, you know, center of the world. In terms of our, you know, specific industry as well, Dubai is a fantastic place. It's pro-regulation. It moves fast. There's a new license for crypto every other week. So what you're seeing is, you know, dozens and dozens of, you know, leading crypto companies, startups within the crypto sector, all establish themselves in Dubai. So for us, you know, it ticks every box. We're a remote first company, like I said, and, you know, the business environment in Dubai allows you to travel. You only have to be there a few days a year to take advantage of the business environment there. And then, you know, fantastic regulation. So it was really a no-brainer.
Yeah, it sounds like it, absolutely. And you yourself settling yourself over there in a new country, how's that been? I'm sure there are people listening that have done the same thing.
It's been interesting. The way that we've kind of structured our company is that we try to go to as many conferences as we can. So we really try and follow the conference channel. It's something that I love so much, actually, about the crypto sector and the blockchain sector, because everyone's always trying to meet up. We're trying to share ideas, right? This is something really complex we're trying to build, whether you're talking NFTs or decentralized finance, which is effectively changing the banking system of the world, putting, you know, power back in the hands of people. So people need to share ideas. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day, and, you know, our sector won't be either. So the fact that everyone's always willing to come together is fantastic. So we try to really have an on the ground presence and travel as much as we can, which meant that I've only probably spent a month in Dubai this year, having, you know, moved there and having a base there. But I really don't spend a lot of time there because we end up traveling so much and following the crypto community around the world.
I do think that's why it's such an exceptionally exciting space. And we will come back to a little bit later on in the interview some of the more mechanics around the talent in your market and what the sort of key drivers are. But just to put some context, you mentioned there that you launched in 2021 and your strapline is you're not your typical blockchain recruiter. So what do you actually mean by that? What's the reason for that strapline?
Yeah, so that's actually a relatively new term. I was having a look at our LinkedIn the other day. I was like, this seems a little bit infantile from when we started the company. You know, everything was going into branding right away. And I thought, since we have been, incepted, since we came into the space, there's been an influx, there really has. And you probably only notice it if you're in the space, because there were so few, and now there's, a good amount. Okay. So what we like to differentiate ourselves as is, first, we're crypto enthusiasts, and second, we're recruiters. What we've seen over the last year is that you're getting, large companies, you're getting startups that don't really know, and dare I say it, care about crypto, but they've seen, a gold pot, and they've come to collect it. Cowboys have come into the town, but that's not what we are. We came into this sector because, of course we're good at recruitment, but we really care about crypto. It was our whole lives. I would spend hours and hours a day on my screen time. Is justified. Just looking at crypto markets, looking at projects, reading white papers, and really feeling like this can have, a difference on the world. And like I said, put power back in the hands of people. So we come from this industry, we care about it. And that's why we want to serve it. Our prices are nearly half what our competitors charge, and we're able to do that because we actually care about the work we're doing. We're not only doing it to make a quick buck.
You want to become part of that industry, and we'll have to have a little chat off camera, because I've not quite got my head around the whole Web3 thing yet. So that's interesting. So contextualizing what you've just said there, this is a disruptive sector to a very traditional finance world, the banking sector. And I love how you position it, that it's putting the power back in the hands of the people. So who doesn't want to be part of that journey? But in terms of talent attraction, even in traditional markets, such as finance, such as legal, such as financial services, there's a talent shortage, and there will be for a generation. So in an embryonic sector like this, how are you, as a provider to your industry, finding talent? How are you sort of making sure that you're delivering what your clients need?
It's one of our USPs, to be honest. You'll see if you log onto our page and you look at our employees. Of course, most of them have a LinkedIn Premium account. Myself and my co-founder don't have LinkedIn Premiums. Wow. And the reason for that is because we want to show to our clients that, of course, we're not undervaluing LinkedIn. It's a fantastic platform, but we don't want to solely rely on LinkedIn as our, resourcing place. Web3, like you said, is a disruptive industry, which means that it's not typical, which means that you have people that aren't on LinkedIn, that aren't active on LinkedIn, that, kind of go against that centralization of social media platforms. So they go to new platforms. They go to Discord, they go to Reddit, they go to Telegram, which is, really our stomping grounds. Second to that, that's the online world. Similar to what I was saying before, we go to as many conferences as we can. We go to hacker events for software developers. We go to hackathons. We go to conferences where we're meeting people in person that, like I said, perhaps don't want to have that centralized online social media presence. And we're able to, take full advantage of that and find candidates that aren't just being regurgitated and refreshed by the same agencies. I speak to agencies that go, we've got the same marketing director that have been presented to us 4 times by different companies. You're not going to see that from us. So that's how we try and source it from different places, and don't try and put the emphasis just on LinkedIn.
It's actually quite, I've got a very long-standing history in recruitment. I've been doing recruitment for nearly 25 years, and you're blending quite I think a traditional bit in a good way, meeting people, actually having meaningful relationships by meeting them in person or over Zoom, but meeting them and actually getting to know those people, those individuals, rather than, what 99% of the market's doing, which is, like you say, topping people up on LinkedIn. So I actually find that really refreshing. And, for our listener who's sat there, working in a niche market like crypto, and obviously we will keep it to crypto, that is actually how you elevate yourself as a recruiter. You become seen as that industry expert because you're actually out there in the community, immersing yourself. But I think it also goes back to what you said at the very start of your intro, that it's because you personally are passionate about the sector and you're interested in it. And you couldn't turn up at these conferences and events if you actually either didn't understand it or couldn't give a shit about it. You just couldn't.
100%. And it's about being willing to learn as well. Crypto is so complicated. Half the viewers here, they'll have a basic understanding, but they won't have a full understanding. But no one does. No. We don't know the person that created Bitcoin. It's a key example. There's a world of things to learn. It's one of the most innovative industries in the world. So you can't come in this industry and be like, oh, I know everything. This is how it works. You have to be willing to learn every day and accept that you're wrong. And there's new information every day. You have to keep moving in this space, otherwise you go backwards, because everyone is just moving forwards every day. So we try and keep up the best we can. It gets a little difficult sometimes. The conference trail is exhausting, let me tell you, but we try and keep up.
So again, sort of bringing in the broader picture as an industry, then the crypto blockchain, all of this ever changing, and every day it's going to change. How do external factors like the recession, like the war, like the cost of living crisis, how does that actually impact, you know, a currency that's so new and ever changing? Will it?
100%. It's difficult as a new founder, as a new business. Things got off to a great start for us. We were sort of flying. We thought, as the typical new business does, that does well in the first couple of months, I'm indestructible. And then suddenly, February, 2022, March 2022, things started taking a little bit of a harder turn. A bit of a troubled few weeks, and we thought, right, what can we do to kind of combat this recession? Because like in the wider, economy, macroeconomics, of course we're exposed to that, but we're also exposed to our own industry trends, which is even more volatile than, cyclical economies.
Absolutely.
On a larger scale. Bitcoin, everyone knows, even if you're not into it, that it's here 1 minute and here the next minute.
Absolutely.
So what do we do to try and protect ourselves and, minimize exposure? What we've tried to do is have one side of our business that, works on core crypto projects, that is really, focused on that decentralization aspect, but also being able to serve the Web2 companies, the banks, the financial corporations that are in the space that are moving into blockchain. And what that means is that rather than using Bitcoin or a cryptocurrency, they're actually using the core fundamental technology that works, on the foundation layer, which is the blockchain technology, right? It's distributed ledger technology, and it's things that large corporations, whether it's the UK government using it for the vaccine rollout, whether it's, different corporations using it for different things, Royal Mail, releasing NFTs, there's so many different ways that it can be used. So, getting into these core companies that are, well established and using blockchain technology is a great way for us to reduce exposure to the wider market and the recession, because then when crypto's doing great, okay, we're doing great too. But if it takes a little bit of a tumble, then we're still protected, because we have this side of the business which is working, on the core technology.
That's really, and again, listening to this, if you're in a niche sector, actually what you're saying is you can be niche, you can have this vertical focus, but you're doing it, you're limiting your risk by having it across a number of different industries effectively.
So subsectors within the same industry.
Subsectors, definitely.
And that's what it's about. It's about knowing about your industry, really having an inside out knowledge, not just going there because you see, okay, I see the salaries in that industry are quite high. Actually, learning about it, learning the nuances of an industry, and in that way you can differentiate yourself. And
I love the fact as well that, picking up on a point you said earlier on, that you're so mobilized because you're working a, totally remote model, and your sector and most Web3 sectors are going to be totally remote going forward. That's how you're going to attract future talent pools. Where does diversity and inclusion play a part in this? How sort of EDI friendly is the sector?
100%. So we find it a lot in the sector, where people will come to us and go, we're looking for a woman, we're looking for a female software developer, we're looking for a female project manager. And I've worked with a lot of companies that have said, okay, we came into Web3, we're actually quite surprised, because what happens, and it's a similar thing that I was talking about with LinkedIn, where the identities online are a lot more, I don't want to say fluid, but there's almost like a blend, right? Where in the corporate industry, everyone's got their face. This is me. I'm Leisha Holmes. This is what I do. I've done this for 25 years. In Web3, there's a completely different side where I might have an NFT as a profile picture, and I might call myself, Leisha.eth, because that's my online digital identity. So what I've found about blockchain, which is fantastic, is that it's so much more based upon skill than it is based upon which university did you go to. Oh, have you got 4 stellar A-levels? And this is something we're trying to work on as well, not just in terms of diversity, but lowering the barrier to entry within our industry.
Good.
Trying to encourage the internships, because that's somewhere where we're not at yet as an industry. This is something a problem that we're facing, that my co-founder often talks about when he does talks in panels and such, is, within the banking insurance industries, you're looking at about 40% of the open vacancies are for entry-level positions. Within blockchain, you're looking at about 1 to 4%. So, depending on what companies you're looking at, you're nearly 40 times off in some companies where we need to be. So it's about, trying to encourage businesses to bring on internships, which is difficult. You know, we're a new industry, so people want to build the product now. They don't want to build the product in 5 or 10 years. It's a race to the finish line, right? Who can get the best products now? But it's about trying to bring the next generation in, trying to build the products, and trying to lower the barrier to entry. It's so important.
Yeah, no, and succession planning for the future, because obviously without having those links to education, you know, getting school leavers to think about it. Is it even on the curriculum? It certainly isn't in the UK. And it needs to be, and that, you know, 100%. if anyone is listening in government, we need to have this needs to go on the syllabus. You know, we don't need to worry about physics and biology as much as we need to worry about understanding cryptocurrency, understanding Web3, and understanding what young people, what Generation Z and Alpha are going to be talking about in 10 years' time. So I'm very passionate about that. So you are technically still a startup. I mean, you're kind of coming out of startup mode because you're sort of over a year old, but what would your advice be to our listener who is either thinking about or going into a startup mode? Like, what crossed your mind when you were saying, like, we're going to go and do this, we're going to start up our own business?
100%. So I would say one of the things I would tell anyone is don't listen to what anyone has to say. If you want to go and do something, go and do it. You know, myself and my co-founder, we're quite open about the fact we were, you know, I don't want to say relatively, we were extremely inexperienced in this industry relatively when we started our company. You know, we both had, you know, around a year's experience. So what kind of psychopath starts a company in an embryonic industry with less than a year experience? Well, we did, and we're now one of the fastest growing companies in the sector. And what that shows you is that, you know, a lot of luck in life is down to hard work. A lot of people that are going to be telling you don't start a business have never started a business. You know, in recruitment, we're in a unique industry where there's such a need for recruiters that if you go and start a business and try it for 6 months and it doesn't work, you'll be given a job elsewhere. You know, you're not going to be out of work ever. If you're a good recruiter, you're not going to be out of work. So even if your first business doesn't work, try it and try it again. You know, the best leaders in the world have all failed hundreds of times. So if you fail the first time, what does it matter? So my first piece of advice would be don't listen to anyone. There wasn't one person, whether it was my mum, dad, old boss, friends in the industry, people I know that own recruitment companies, that said, oh, go and start that. You know, that'll be a success. Everyone was like, whoa, what are you doing? So we went, look, we're going to give it a go. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, you know? So yeah, don't listen to anyone. If you believe in yourself, then back yourself.
Clayton, I absolutely love that, because it's so true. And I think that there's so much narrative out there about, you know, being your own boss and owning this and doing that. And actually it's blooming hard work. But if you've got the vision, you've got the purpose, you've got to carve out your own path with it. And you've echoed everything that I ever say, because obviously I'm a rec in my day job. And when people come to me, because I do set people up in joint ventures and with investors, and I say the worst thing that can happen is you go and get a job back in industry, you will be employable because you've got all the 100%. Behaviors of, you know, you can be an entrepreneur working in someone's business, or you can go like you clearly did with your co-founder. Do you know what? Let's just go and give it a go. I love that everybody told you no, because you almost in defiance are going to prove that you're going to make a success of it. Are there any other...
We said to ourselves, you know, we're either going to learn in 5 years' time when we do this, or we're going to learn in the company we're in at the moment, or we can learn for ourselves and make those mistakes for ourselves. You know, we pay the price, but we get the gains as well. So we thought I'd rather take that risk and learn this lesson ourselves, and that's what we've done. You know, in terms of other things I would recommend, we were in a fortunate position where we had quite a supportive and talented friendship group. You know, that's where we started our recruitment. We reached out to a couple of people that we were close with and said that actually had recruitment experience, and we said, look, we've set this up, we've done quite well over the last couple of months, we think this model works. They also cared and knew about crypto. So I think start close to home. I think it's a good place to start when you're having a startup. Ironically, the recruitment is so difficult because it's your baby now, right? And suddenly you understand what all your clients, when they reject people after 7 stages of interview, you suddenly understand, because it's so important who you bring on. It's so key. So I would say start close to home and be really careful about, you know, when you're bringing people on. We've made a couple of mistakes over you know, the months that we've established. So be tight with your recruitment process. Really think about decisions, but be brave. But yeah, I would say start close to home and reach out to people that you know that are skilled, because everyone's got a different skill set. Whether they can help you with your marketing, whether they can help you with your branding. Look at the resources that you have available to you. Myself and my co-founder were completely bootstrapped, zero investment, you know, no joint venture at all, no companies helping us. I was sleeping on my dad's sofa He was staying at home as well. We had no money in the bank, and we thought, what can we do? So I went on to YouTube, how to build a website. I've never built a website before.
Wow,
Built our
this is
first website.
amazing.
It was completely, brick 1 up to brick 10. So the first stages for us, and I think a person in a similar scenario, the first opportunity for you, the first most important thing is raising capital, right? Because when you raise capital, then you can do things in a more proper way. You can actually have a website built, you can have someone running your social media, which is really important. So raise some capital. In terms of getting that first deal in, just work hours and hours and hours till that first deal goes in. And you'll notice you're not on a 10% sliding scale anymore. When you get that first deal in, that's yours. So you can do a lot with that money, and it's about being wise with your money. Like I said, utilize the resources that are close to you, but first of all, just absolutely steam the hours, get that work in, so that you have that capital to try and build a brand and try and build a name for yourself, because it's really important.
Of course it is. I just want to pick up on something that it's been the theme the whole way through about your passion and your care for the sector. So when you're hiring people to work for you, and this will resonate whether you're listening as a legal recruiter or an HR recruiter, it doesn't matter. I've always believed that if you place somebody in a recruitment desk where they're really interested in the sector, they will do much better than somebody that's just going through the motions and the mechanics. What you seem to be of the same ilk, that you think if you're passionate
100%.
about it, you won't feel like working, which I know sounds crazy.
I mean, we don't really feel like, and I don't want to offend any listeners or anything.
No.
We don't feel like recruitment is that difficult of a job. I'm going to say we feel like it's a people thing. Can you see value in people? Can you see, because everyone has a skill to provide. So it's just about spotting what skill each person has to provide, right? Everyone's got something within them. So if you can identify that, you're going to be a good recruiter. So if you match that with going into an industry that's your passion, that's 100% the way to go. And that's what I would say to anyone that's thinking of doing their own startup is, it doesn't matter, like you said, whether you're in legal recruitment, whether you're doing NHS recruitment, whether you're doing teaching recruitment, if you really care, about makeup, or you really care about swimming, you love to swim. So, we met people when we were considering incubation and accelerators, all this kind of stuff when we started, before we launched. We met a company that recruit helicopter pilots in South Africa. And that is their sole business model. So whatever you care about, if you care enough about it, learn. There will be a niche, because all you need in recruitment is a niche. The margins are good. So if you have your niche and you care, you will do well.
I think you are a leader of the new world of recruitment, where we're kind of not going full circle to where I started or where recruitment started, but I think there has been these lost years where recruitment has been transactional. Recruitment has 100%. Been about portals. It's been all through, because technology is there to support the human journey. And it's so refreshing. And I don't want to sound patronizing, but it's really refreshing for me to meet somebody so passionate about their sector, because to me, I don't think recruitment is a complicated job. I don't think recruitment is a difficult process. I think humans make it complicated and difficult because maybe they're not excited. And I think if I think back to me, my first recruitment job, I worked in engineering, and you think, oh gosh, but actually I was dead interested, because these people made cars, they made aeroplanes, and I'd have them showing me drawings and showing me how the windows don't fall out of an aeroplane. And I was so enthusiastic. And whenever I interview anybody and whenever I speak to any leaders, I want that level of passion in the people that you're going to be partnering. So it's so encouraging that there are leaders like you out there. And that's why you're flourishing, because that will come across, and, your industry will get to respect you for it because you care. I think it's really underestimated. I really do.
I really appreciate that. Those are very kind words, and I hope that our care really does shine through with our clients. I think so far we seem to have a lot of success stories, but hopefully we can keep growing. I think we've got to that point. I think that happens in a typical recruitment company startup lifestyle, from what I'm aware, that you kind of get to that double figures point, and then suddenly you kind of need more infrastructure. You need to have people that kind of work on the finances, people that work on the branding. So it's about, for us, the next step is about getting over that difficult phase where it's maybe going from 12 to 25 or 25 to 40, because suddenly it's not just a company of a small team of recruiters that are kind of working together. It's about taking a business, or taking a project into a business or into a company, which is something that we're still learning. But you have to be as an entrepreneur, whether you're 50 or 15, everyone's learning every day. And I think that's one of the most important takeaways, is just don't be scared of learning. You don't know everything.
You definitely don't know everything at all, and no one knows everything about everything. So it's as simple as that. Well, I hope that we can witness your journey, because I do think that there'll be a lot of people listening, leaders particularly, who've got large scale companies who have gone through that very painful. It is the most painful growth phase, apparently. 10 to 25 is the most painful.
Yeah.
But you will do it. I have absolutely no doubt. So we are recording this as we head towards the end of 2022. What do you think 2023 and beyond has in store for you?
Oh, a Bitcoin all-time high would be great. I won't lie to you. So let's push for that. Everyone get buying Bitcoin, please. But no, I think that, you know, we're coming into some difficult times. To be honest, if you look at the macroeconomics, you know, the recession's on the way. So I just want to see people working hard, looking after themselves, and taking risks. You know, life's never got all the answers. You're never going to have a perfect setup to start your own business. So when you feel like you're ready to, just, you know, go and take that step. Because like I said, you know, the time's never going to be perfect. So it's just about taking that risk whenever you feel you can.
Just be brave, like Clayton, be brave. This has been so delightful. I've loved every second of it. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Recruiters Recruitment Podcast.